Undeveloped open spaces near urban centers are increasingly rare and sought after. These areas are home to indigenous and introduced species of non-human animals. As humans constantly move closer and closer into and onto the habitats of wildlife animals, inevitable confrontations occur between non-human animals and the human animals living and playing on land where wildlife must make their homes. These interactions between human and non-human animals in contested transitional habitats create weekly news headlines around the world. Mobile phone video footage of bears and cougars swimming in chlorinated swimming pools endlessly loops on social media sites. Drought-stricken coyotes further alienate themselves from their human neighbors by making meals of companion animals left unattended in backyards. Boundaries are blurry, and although the encroached upon, animals are often seen as the encroachers. Humans have overtaken the biomass of the world, encroaching into the environment and forcing wild animals from their natural habitats. Environmental waste has polluted habitats, changing animal living environments drastically. This presentation examines the ways that four contemporary artists have envisioned and negotiated different aspects of human encroachment into animal environments and bodies. The artists included often draw upon their own embodied experiences with wildlife in the spaces within which these animals live to create artwork that acknowledges the difficulties caused by human participation in the complicated, often caustic ecosystems formed in close quarters to urban wildlife. As Luke Matjas reflects, I'm interested in those messier accounts of our surroundings that we encounter in our day-to-day lives. The pack of coyotes taking up residence in a foreclosed home, a pair of sweatpants discovered amidst the stomach contents of a beached whale, a mountain lion wandering the early morning lanes of an interstate freeway. British artist Steve Baker photographed the bodies of road-killed animals that he encountered while cycling the rural roads near his home in the east of England. Traveling some of the same thoroughfares as the native wildlife, Baker documented the consequences of human encroachment in the form of road-killed animals. He created large-scale photographic juxtapositions of the animal bodies with architectural and landscape images he took in the same area. Baker's academic writings over the past 25 years have contributed to the development of the field of human-animal studies in the arts, humanities, and social science, and include artist-animal, the postmodern animal, and picturing the beast. Accomplished printmaker and Southern California native Daniela Barbani makes printed and sculptural pieces which deal with the topics of the wild-land-urban interface and society's effects on the wildlife. Barbani's large-scale works repurpose road signs and barricades to explore the infiltration of animals into the urban landscape of Los Angeles. She views her work as an educational tool as well as a celebration of the animal and its continued will to survive, and she augments her artistic activities with activism on the part of a local nonprofit agency, Citizens for Los Angeles Wildlife, CLAW, which spreads awareness of urban wildlife living within the Los Angeles area. Deb Diehl is a Los Angeles-based filmmaker and artist who has created a dialogue with the urban wildlife who inhabit her backyard at night. During the day, the space is used by Diehl, her friends, and family for recreation and as an installation site for Diehl's ceramic artwork. At night, wildlife animals inhabit the terrain and interact with the objects left in the space. In her current project, Fauna Nocturna, Diehl, using hunting trap cameras to document wildlife, creates a video installation which allows viewers to glimpse specific animal experience which humans are not normally privileged to see. Highlighting the actions of the animals who traverse the space of her backyard, Diehl foregrounds the agency of the animals themselves and their mutual activities in the same places. Luke Matjas is inspired by contemporary and historic sources referencing our knowledge of and ability to manipulate the natural world, ranging from antiquated pulp science books, natural history, museum dioramas, and the local Home Depot. His work varies from immense room-sized murals and digital prints to site-specific installations to intimate drawings. His large-scale site-specific installations create visceral spaces which unfold and encompass the viewer along with the animal inhabitants of the images within spaces filled with human debris. His work allows us to experience the effect of existing in an environment from which we are powerless to escape, permeated with ever-present toxic waste objects of our own generation. In 2009, after moving back to Norwich, UK, Steve Baker began cycling as a way to reacquaint himself with the terrain around his home. His encounter with a, quote, flattened rabbit on Woodbastwick Road, end quote, which he initially passed and then returned to photograph, began a series of images documenting road-killed animals, which are incorporated into two bodies of artwork. The first, Roadside, included a single image of the animal. The second and ongoing series is called Scapeland. In the roadside images, he allows portions of his bicycle, the vehicle that transports him to the location of the dead animals, to intrude clumsily into the image. These apparently unskillful visual anomalies operate in a number of ways. The relative size of the bicycle pedal allows us to gauge how close the photographer is to his subject. Thus, Baker creates a spatial relationship between his body and the body of the animals he is photographing. The artist implicates himself, although clearly not personally responsible for these casualties, in the system that produces animal deaths. The bicycle pedal interrupts the viewer's ability to engage in a coherent visual experience. The disjuncture forces us to question the assumptions being made in the image-making process and to reinterpret the image through the lens of our present uncomfortable experience. As part of his ongoing series Scapeland, Baker pairs the road-killed animal images with photographs of landscape vistas and architectural details to create visceral diptychs that stretch 5 feet, 51 by 153 centimeters, across the gallery wall. The monumentality of the images, on the scale of grand landscape vistas, conveys a sense of implicit importance to the mutilated animal bodies and links the results of human activity to representations of the land. While Baker makes no overt claims for this work, the scale of the images arrests the viewer's attention and asks them to engage with the corporeality of the scene in a way that is very different from their experience of a road-killed animal's death, as viewed from a passing car window. Baker says of his work that he feels there is a commemorative function to the images, but memorials are not for the benefit of the dead. Instead, they serve a purpose for the living. These normally invisible bodies permit the collective, implicated viewer to stand in the discomfiture of our corporeal connection to the animals, and to mourn, or at least reflect upon, the consequences, though unintended, of our highly inexpert choices regarding the natural world. As viewers of these animal bodies, Baker joins us to the consequences of our actions, links us to the animals in a way that offers no particular or specific solutions, but which also permits us to throw aside our communal denial about the problem of road-killed animals and to open a space where the possibility of thinking a new thing may arise.
Hi, my name is Daniela Barbani. I am a Los Angeles-based artist, and my current body of work is focused on urban wildlife, specifically the mountain lion population in Los Angeles. And I knew I wanted to make a body of work that talked about the urgency of the situation and also paid tribute to the plight of the urban mountain lion and everything that it's been through. So I created a project called Dead End, and I started this in 2018, and it is ongoing right now. The project is not complete. I'm still working on it, and it consists of, at this current moment, 80 aluminum dead end signs that I have relief printed on top of. And so each dead end sign has a generic portrait of a cougar printed on it, along with its specific tag number. starting from P1, going all the way to P80. Now you might notice that not all of the signs are flipped. So all of the signs that say dead end with the tag number showing, with the yellow side showing, are mountain lions that have been killed or have passed away due to human interference. So that might be cougars that have died trying to cross roads and freeways, cougars that have died due to ingesting rat poison that people are using, interspecies conflict due to the shrinking habitats. So I basically have created a system for myself of what determines when the sign gets flipped. If a cougar has died of natural causes, I haven't really decided if I want to flip the sign yet, because I really want to highlight the human interference with these animals. So eventually, all of these signs will be flipped. I follow the Santa Monica National Park Service pretty closely, along with some other organizations like CLAW and the Cougar Conservancy. And as news breaks of a mountain lion passing, I go and I flip the sign for that lion. And not only is it for the piece itself, it does become a performative act for me in that moment to be in the studio with this piece and have to flip that sign. It's pretty heartbreaking to do. And so this project is ongoing, meaning currently it's at 25 feet long by 3 feet high, but it will continue to grow bigger. I think as of right now, I just saw in the news this morning that there are cougar kittens, and so they have been given the tag P92 and P93, I believe. So already the piece has 13 more signs that I need to make. So it will continue to expand, it will continue to grow. This is a project that I don't consider to be complete until there are no more mountain lions to be tracked. And what I mean by that is there might be a time, they're predicting by 2050, if we don't do anything to help preserve these animals, they could become extinct by that year. So this project is kind of like a morbid, eye-opening experience for people to see the urgency of this situation. And so I haven't lost hope yet, but my hope is that when people see this project, they will be inspired to help make a change and, help protect what wildlife we do have here in Los Angeles.
So, this hill is sort of my studio. And during the daylight hours, I consider it to be mine. I pay taxes on it. I am responsible for brush clearance for fire safety. And I use it for my creative needs. These hunting traps I use to capture images of wildlife in the yard, interacting with places that I've sculpted and dug out and placed object into as an invitation for animals to interact with them. For instance, this hole up here used to be much bigger, but I dug it out in order to place cameras and objects inside of it. And that actually created a lot of curiosity for the animals that showed up. I'm interested in exploring the very human desire to interact with wild animals and what their experience is of our shared spaces. Last year, I made some ceramic balls that I set up in various places in the yard. it was as an invitation for animals to interact with them or alter the area, which they do. They roll them around, they sometimes break them, they dig around the structures and change the way they look, and sometimes they take objects away and disappear them forever. I never find them. Sometimes they do leave commentary. The space has a dual construct for me. There's one which I consider to have ownership of and is mine to manipulate. That one exists during the daylight hours. The other one exists after nightfall. And that's when it belongs to the wildlife, when it's their territory to roam and alter what's there. When it's dark, I feel the space is rightfully theirs and that I am the interloper. But when coyotes and raccoons appear during the day, I am uncomfortable and feel a little bit like they're encroaching. I think this is partially because they are more of a threat to domestic animals, but moreover because their shift from nocturnal activity due to human endeavors still feels unnatural. As humans continue to alter the natural landscape, and as domestic lives interact even further with wild ones, I think that we will be reconsidering even further who is encroaching on whom. And I see this hill as a microcosm of that dynamic.
Luke Matjas, large-scale digital analog drawings. Output as room-size art installations create meticulously rendered, fantastical natural ecosystems that envelop and engulf the viewer. The flora and fauna inhabiting these environments are drawn from direct observation of the natural world in the spirit of his historic artistic forerunners like Maria Sibylla Merian. Matjas is a trail ultrarunner, and his work is informed by, quote, his embodied experience spent outside, taking many visual cues from direct encounters with regional flora, fauna, and geology, end quote. However, as he notes in his artist statement, the natural world that Matjas himself inhabits and depicts is now filled with, quote, synthetic artifacts, end quote, which Matjas represents with the same faithful veracity as he does the non-human inhabitants. Firmly grounded in contemporary philosophical discussions regarding the, quote, domestication of natural space and colonialism, end quote, Matjas' artwork and research interests marry myriad bodies of thought regarding the functioning of the natural world. His diverse landscapes derive inspiration from current as well as outdated scientific theories, and from contemporary culture as well as media depictions of the natural world. This amalgamation mirrors the diverse levels of knowledge that viewers bring to his artwork, some of their concepts grounded in fact, and others in beliefs which endanger the non-human inhabitants. Further, Matjas fuses the technology with which he creates the work, combining traditional graphite hand drawings with sophisticated computer scanning and digitization. The resulting images can be output in very large sizes. And here, Matjas' work diverges significantly from his historical counterparts. The non-human animals and synthetic artifacts which populate and litter Matjas' digital drawings and his room-size installations dwarf the viewer. The scale of the objects allows them to surround the viewers, and chaos can overwhelm, much as it does the non-human animals in Matjas' landscapes and in the natural world. Special thanks to all the artists who generously provided their time, images, and materials to make this presentation possible. Thanks especially to Deb Diehl, who filmed her on-site reflection on her video-based series Night Animals on location in her outdoor studio on October 3rd, 2020. Thanks to Daniela Barbani for her Zoom interview on October 1st, 2020. And thanks to Steve Baker and Ange Bartram for the opportunity to screen this presentation at the University of Derby's Life with and Without Animals Conference on Saturday, November 7th, 2020.